don't want a half a page. You know, this is just the introduction. Just give us a little bit of the background, and then you'll notice that within this introduction here that the author gives us a little bit about what poetic elements that they're going to be talking about in the poem, or some of the stuff that is found in the poem. So you don't want to go real specific, but you want to give us a little bit of what you're going to be talking about in the poem. And then, you know, as you get closer to the thesis statement, you get a little bit more specific and talking about the emphasis, or you know, something that's really important in the poem as well. So you may talk about in general that this poem does these 5 things, but it really does these 2 things, you know, and great emphasis and stuff like that. And then the last line of your introduction should be the thesis statement. So here, Tennyson uses imagery, rhyme scheme, and other poetic devices to help display the theme and the tone of the poem. So this is the thesis statement, and this is what you kind of want it to look like. I want your thesis statement to be the last line of the introduction. That won't always be true later on. You can put it basically wherever you want, but for this first essay, it has to be the last line of your introduction. So make sure you do that. So again, notice how this is set up. We kind of get the introduction of the poem here, the author, the title, talking about the poem a little bit. You get a little bit of the background, and then you get some general information with the poem, uses some poetic elements. Then you kind of get some further, more specific, detailed, a little bit more detailed information about some of the things that are going on in the poem, and then you wrap it up. It's all leading up to the thesis statement. So notice how it goes from general to very specific. So that's kind of how you want to structure your introduction. Kind of give us the background, general, get a little bit more specific as you go on, and then bang, bam, you know, give us a thesis statement and punch us in the face basically with your thesis statement, and then go on with the rest of your essay. So again, your thesis statement should state the broad arc of what you're going to cover in your essay. So again, your thesis statement is the roadmap for the rest of the essay. All right, and then of course you'd go on and you'd be writing the rest of your essay. So notice from my rule from before, this paragraph ends with a quote. And remember, I don't want you to do that. So if this was your paper, you would have to continue writing right here and explain that quote. So just keep that in mind, that you don't end a paragraph with a quote and stuff like that as well. So you notice here this individual talks about, they emphasize the fact that the tone of the poem is that of exhilaration, the heat of the battle. Throughout the poem, Tennyson gives examples of dangerous situations. So, you know, again, this individual is concentrating on tone for this poem. So again, with this, when you're writing about your subject matter here, I don't want a grocery list of the 15 different poetic elements that your poem has. I don't want that. If you do that, you'll fail. Just give me a couple of poetic elements that it covers. You know, 2, 3, 4 things. Anything more than that, you might be getting into dangerous territory. Generally, a poem may have 15 different poetic elements, but maybe 2 or 3 of them are really dominant or really emphasized, and you want to focus on that for your essay. So don't give me a grocery list of every element, because that means you're going to have a bunch of little, again, sorry, you want to make sure you don't give the grocery list examples throughout your paper, because you're going to get a bunch of short little paragraphs like this if you talk about the 12 different poetic elements that are in a paper, and it won't be a very good paper. So, you know, in this one, they're talking about imagery, rhyme scheme, and a couple other poetic devices. All right, and so this paper is probably pushing it for the amount of things that it's trying to talk about. You know, you could probably just talk about tone and theme, and that would probably be more than enough to talk about. So also, if you are finding that this is all you can write on your poem, you only have a page and a half, then that probably means that the poem that you've chosen is too easy. It's okay to pick a difficult poem, and you've already picked your poems by now, but if you're having trouble filling out 3.5, 4 pages, then you probably picked too easy of a poem, and you need to pick